What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Fringe. Alberta Independence is taking some very radical steps in terms of its court proceedings. I'm going to have Jeffrey Rath here on the channel Tuesday to speak with you guys about everything that's happened so far and what we can expect this upcoming Thursday as they return to court to discuss not just the application for Alberta Prosperity Project, but essentially question the wacko petition that's going on with Tom Leazic and his Forever Canadian petition that's happening to oppose what the APP is doing. Now, thankfully, Jeff is going to come sit down to kind of explain it, as I say, in crayon, for those who don't understand the legal jargon as to what is happening, how things are working. For anybody looking for a little bit of a summary as to what happened this past Thursday, again, a lot of things building up to the next Thursday's appointment. But one of the things that the judge pointed out in that session was that Tom Leazic's Forever Canadian campaign, that his petition is essentially a nothing burger. Those were his exact words, slamming Tom's application. And since then, Tom has gone on quite the little warpath to make sure he's on as many lefty shows as possible, to make sure that the word is getting out. Don't forget, he has somebody filling his pockets and backing what he's trying to do in Alberta. A lot of interested parties, as he has the entire mainstream media behind him trying to garner his 300,000 signatures. Again, I don't think he'll get them. But one of the things that I have to point out here is this Ryan Jesperson podcast, Real Talk. It's not really that real, with Ryan Jesperson, where he went on to make some pretty bold claims that could land him in a bit of hot water. In fact, if I was Premier Danielle Smith, I might be looking into if this is defamation. At the very least, I don't think it's defamation so much as false information, false, what is it the Liberals always call it? Misinformation, blaming Danielle Smith for essentially hiring the APP lawyers, as well as Eva Chipiuk, to go in and defend the APP's application in court. Now, we're going to play for context what he had to say, and then we'll discuss what's going on. Let's take a look here.
This is truly grassroots, and everybody has to step up for us to reach that number.
Okay, I want to circle back on the comment you made about Alberta's Premier Danielle Smith making it difficult for you. There's kind of these parallel stories, right? You're claiming that she's making it difficult for you and everybody else that's campaigning to keep Alberta in Canada. At the same time, a lot of people are talking about how Danielle Smith's UCP government is making it easier for would-be separatists to get their petition run through.
So you can see already how they're bending the dialect here, that, oh, she's making it easy for separatists, and they're making it very hard for those who want to stay in Alberta, essentially painting Danielle Smith as a villain that essentially just wants to run Alberta out of Canada. What's funny is little Tommy the Commie here went on a little tirade because he put his petition forward ages ago, before Danielle Smith brought in Bill 54, at a time where he would have had to garner 600,000 signatures in order to have his petition passed. Now, what's really funny is since then, and even since his news appearances after putting that application forward and gloating on many news outlets that he would have no problem getting 600,000 signatures, well, he stomped his feet, he had a little Tommy tantrum, and he got the signatures reduced to 300,000. Roughly, it's 290,000 signatures required for his petition to be, I guess, considered valid. Which the judge, by the way, again, called a nothing burger. But here they are now painting Danielle Smith as the villain. Let's hear what he has to say about what happened in the courtroom.
Folks that don't spend every single day with their noses buried in the news, can you lay that out for us, these two different stories?
Certainly. Well, she amended with Bill 44 a couple of months ago. She amended the rules that would require half the signature, increase the time, and really relax fundraising rules. But she didn't proclaim that bill into law until July 4th, which is, call it coincidence or not, American Independence Day. And she had an agreement with separatists. They were lined up first thing in the morning at the Elections Alberta office to file at that moment. Odd that they knew exactly on which day the premier will be proclaiming that bill.
So the reason they knew what day the premier would be proclaiming that bill is because the media covered it. It was out there. I mean, the parliament, or not parliament, I always say parliament, the legislature appoints when they're going to pass those bills. Keep in mind, Tommy the Commie here, as a former deputy premier, was actually booted from his job for going, I believe it was to Poland, where he charged a roughly $20,000 cell phone bill to the provincial government for people to cover his costs while he was out on vacation having a good time. And this guy has to make it sound like, oh, they're insiders. They knew that Bill 54 was coming on July 4th. We reported it on this channel before July 4th. Everyone knew it was coming ahead of time. In fact, we knew in June it was coming. The fact that he thinks people are this stupid, that they don't follow this stuff. Come on, Tom.
So, and one could say, okay, Thomas, that's a conspiracy theory. Well, yesterday, actually, it became even more obvious. Elections Alberta took that application filed by separatists, and Elections Alberta is unsure whether the question is constitutional because it really possibly tramples on First Nations treaties. So as the act requires of the elections commissioner, he deferred that question to the court and asked judges, is this constitutional or not? Is it okay for me to consider this question or not? For a first time in the history of this province, actually, our premier hired a law firm to fight in court on the behalf of separatists, arguing that their separatist petition should go forward, irrelevant of whether it is or isn't constitutional. It should simply go forward. So that's what.
So I'm not sure. Again, maybe I'm misunderstanding the legal jargon here. I believe Danielle Smith had put out a tweet saying that there shouldn't be red tape. There shouldn't be these court challenges. The whole point of Bill 54 was that as soon as a question for a petition for referendum is accepted by Elections Alberta, as long as the question does not trample over anything within Indigenous rules or treaties, as long as it's constitutional, it should go through. And if they gain their signatures and the signatures are verified, it will be on a referendum ballot. But him making the claims that Danielle Smith hired lawyers to go in and fight for that, the only lawyers I saw for the side of APP at this hearing was Jeffrey Rath and Eva Chipiuk. So I'm not sure what he's saying here, but he's essentially saying that there were lawyers there on Danielle's behest to push forward the APP's question, their application for a question. Now, again, I will confirm this with Jeff Raff on our Tuesday morning interview, but it's so funny that he goes on to say that. In fact, he goes on to say it again here in the video. Let's take another listen.
I want to get into the live chat here. JJ, and I know you said this earlier, but JJ says, sorry, Jespo, did Thomas say that the premier is using taxpayer money to pay for lawyers for separatists? He goes, did I hear that right? That's not exactly what it is, Thomas, right? But can you explain what you mean?
No, it's exactly what it is. So this is the issue. Elections Alberta, as I said earlier, wanted to get a court's opinion whether the separatist question is constitutional, whether it violates any part of the Constitution. And in the act, actually in this amendment that Danielle Smith passed 2 months ago, one of the sections says that when elections commissioner is in doubt on a question, he is to defer it to the court for opinion. So he's doing exactly what she put into law 2 months ago. But because it is the separatist question that he's putting to courts for an opinion, she told him first, with Minister of Justice Mickey Ameri, don't do it. Just let this question go ahead. But he said, no, you can't interfere with what I do. I am independent. I am doing exactly like the law says. I'm putting it to court for its opinion. So what she did with the Minister of Justice, they hired an external Edmonton law firm, very prominent, expensive law firm. And these lawyers were in court yesterday arguing why the commissioner should not be allowed to take this question to court for its opinion, but should put it on a ballot.
So again, what's being missed here, and again, he hasn't stated that it was Jeff and Eva. Again, I didn't see other lawyers there, but I could be mistaken. But if he is in fact referring to Jeff and Eva, I don't believe they're being paid by Danielle Smith. In fact, this is Tommy the Commie spreading nothing but lies, especially with the way he's giving the information. Because what he's leaving out here is that what went on with Danielle Smith and Mickey Amory is that Danielle said, look, Bill 54 clearly states that if the question does not violate treaty rights, if it doesn't step over anything that's in the legal process of Alberta's constitution, it has the right to go through pending the signatures. Tommy the Commie, keep in mind, went and tattletaled and stomped his feet and got mad that he needed 600,000 signatures, that he said, well, the new rules should apply to me. So I get to go and complain to the government. I get to waste tax dollars, or well, not tax dollars, but I get to waste the court's time, which does cost tax dollars. I get to go and do anything I want to do, but as soon as APP or any people who actually want to have the right to vote in this province want to do anything, well, I'm going to stomp all over it, and I'm going to call them all these nasty things. Again, Ryan Jesperson's podcast, essentially out to demonize Danielle Smith, to demonize the good people of Alberta. The funny thing that I keep mentioning in all of this, that I want people to think about, is that anytime we're offered the right to make a choice, anybody who was in government, is close to government, seems to work within the government, wants to say, no, you don't have the right to make a choice. You're under our boot heel. You'll always be under our boot heel. No freedoms for you. In Saskatchewan, where people were talking about getting an independence vote, NDP party members were already complaining that they want to try and up the rules so that it's more difficult for those in Saskatchewan to ever garner the signatures to allow for a referendum. In Alberta, you've got Tommy the Commie arguing, well, those people shouldn't be allowed to vote. I should be allowed to vote because I love Alberta where it is right now, paying all of our money out to the federal government, and we should just stay right where we are. Why is it okay for you guys to have a voice and not for us, especially when you're so convinced that everyone in Alberta, everyone in Saskatchewan just loves things the way they are and would vote to stay anyways? The answer to that, folks, is that the truth is closer, that independence is on the threshold in both provinces. I know that the Conservatives are nervous because they lose close to 40 seats in the House of Commons if Alberta were to leave. That's rough for the Conservatives. There's going to be a lot of interference. I've said there's going to be a lot of interference from day one, but none of the powers that be would be pushing so hard to stop this if they thought for a single minute that Alberta independence wasn't possible. It tells us by being attacked that we're on the right track, we're making the proper movements to go forward. I don't see any reason why the APP's question will be denied at this point, especially given that the judge laughably called Tommy the Commie's petition a nothing burger. In fact, it's really funny because I was going to reach out to Tom Lakazuk to clear up what he said in this interview, but he's already blocked the Fringe on Twitter and social media without ever engaging in him. So clearly he knows who I am. He knows who his enemies are, and he doesn't want to have to face the music to anybody who wants to talk common sense. It's all the people he can brainwash, anybody he can demonize Danielle Smith to, making all of this essentially what the judge called it, a nothing burger. Let me know what you guys think down below. Do you think Tom was referring to Eva and Jeff Rath? Do you think that Danielle Smith is wasting tax dollars in a courtroom to go against Tom's petition? Let me know your thoughts down below. If it's your first time here, I hope this video has earned your subscription. Make sure as you hit that subscribe button, you leave a thumbs up and a comment down below. It does help push this video out past the YouTube censors. It tells people, hey, it's worth watching. Check it out, especially if you're into Alberta independence. If you want to see Alberta become free and fair and independent, leave a thumbs up below. Show me how much support we truly have, ladies and gentlemen. Hit that bell for all notifications at the same time so that you never miss a beat whenever a video drops on the channel. And join me live here on the channel every Wednesday and Friday night now, twice a week, for our two shows, Unhinged Fringe on Wednesday nights, Friday Night Fringe Friday nights, with a plethora of new co-hosts, as well as the beautiful Mrs. Fringe on Fridays, as we sit down and talk about everything that happened this week in politics, everything we know that's coming up in the week ahead, as well as your Q&A within the greatest YouTube community on the platform. I always look forward to chatting with you guys outside of making these videos. I most importantly look forward to talking with you this week, Wednesday night, starting at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, each and every Wednesday and Friday here on the channel. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you on the next one.